Hello brain shakers, welcome to today's session, and now I'm hoping that you have looked at the applied anatomy to sex determination, where we looked at the chromosome, what it is and what roles basically that it is going to play. In this particular session, we're going to be looking at how that then happens, how the determination of one being male or being female is going to happen. So straight right into it. We're already familiar with this diagram here, which is going to be the chromosome that we have looked at. Now this is a Y chromosome, and with it has a special region that we call the SRY gene on the Y chromosome, which is an important element. But before we get to this part of the chromosome, let's quickly look at the different stages that the determination of sex is going to happen. So there is a stage that we call the indifferent stage. So from the indifferent stage, then you will have the differentiation stage. So the differentiation is going to happen together with the determination, because after the differentiation of the various ducts, then you end up with the determination of that sex. Now, the indifferent stage, this is where the gonads now are developing earlier before the 7th week of gestation. So once the ovum has then been fertilized by the spermatozoa, you have a zygote there that then begins to develop. That development process will take on a number of weeks, and we will go on up until the 40th week. But before they reach the 7th week of gestation, you will not know whether it is going to be a male or it is going to be a female. Why? Because the gonads are obviously going to differentiate, and they will be developing, and they will be in a state of an indifferent stage, because there they then have the capacity to either be male or female. So if we have male here, and then on the other end there we will have female, we know that the male is going to have the XY chromosome, and then the female is going to have the double X chromosomes there. So when the gonads, or when the development process is still happening before the 7th week, they will be in the indifferent stage. It means that they still have the capacity of either being female or being male. So the development of the sex chromosomes is going to be a unique one. You have a rudimentary liver, for example, is going to end up becoming a liver. A rudimentary lung is going to end up into a lung. But that of the sex chromosomes, what is going to happen is that it grows in the indifferent stage, meaning that it has a capacity of either ending up as male or ending up as a female. So when you reach about the 60th week or so, the presence or the deposition of the primordial germ cells then is going to bring about the expression of that SRY. Now, we already looked at a male having given out this Y chromosome. So if they give out the Y chromosome, it means that on the Y chromosome, you have a special band there that we are calling the SRY, which is a sex-determining region Y gene. Now, this SRY is a transcription factor, meaning that it is what is going to initiate the development of male characteristics. Now, there are two important ducts that we need to know when we're looking at sex determination. There is one which we will call the Mullerian duct, and then you also have the Wolffian duct. Okay, so the Mullerian duct is going to end up giving you a female. Then the Wolffian duct is going to end up giving you a male. The easiest way for you to remember which one is going to give you what is just the opposite, that female starts with an F and then male starts with an M. But the opposite of Mullerian here is going to be F, meaning that what is M will give you an F. What is W here for a woman will give you a male. That is the easiest way on how you will remember these ducts and what they will end up giving you. So a Mullerian duct will then develop into a female. A Wolffian duct will then develop and give you the male. Now, the expression of this particular gene, and around the 7th week of gestation, the SRY gene here, which is a transcription factor, is going to then lead to the release of the hormones. Now, the SRY factor, if it is present at 7 weeks, meaning that it is going to allow two important cells there, because you know the PGCs, around the 6th week you have the PGCs, which are the primordial germ cells. Now, this is where every other cell is emanating and coming from, because it has the capacity to differentiate into different types of cells. But because of the presence of this particular gene here, then from here you're going to end up with two important cells. You're going to end up with what we call the Sertoli cells, and then you will also have the Leydig cells. Okay, now these Leydig cells and the Sertoli cells are going to play a very key role. So the Sertoli cell is going to produce what we call an anti-Mullerian hormone, or an MRF, which is just, this is anti-Mullerian hormone, or the Mullerian regression factor, because this favors the production of a male. So if it favors the production of a male, then it means that the Sertoli cells will need to produce an anti-Mullerian hormone. So we know that the Mullerian duct here is going to lead you to have a female. So when it produces this anti-Mullerian hormone, or the Mullerian regression factor, it will mean that this Mullerian duct then will start to degenerate, so that then the resulting child does not develop into a female, but goes on to develop as a male. And then the Leydig cells here are going to produce the hormone testosterone here. Testosterone and its derivative hormone, which is DHT, dihydrotestosterone. So these two hormones then now will induce the development of the male reproductive system, and then you end up having all those seminal vesicles, you have the rete testis, you have the epididymis, and you have also the vas deferens, meaning that all those structures then begin to develop, and you end up having the child as a male. Why? Because you have the sex determining region Y gene on the Y chromosome, and you have those important hormones being produced, that is the anti-Mullerian, to cause degeneration of the Mullerian duct, so that the resulting child does not develop into a female. Now, when at 7 week of gestation you do not have the presence of the SRY, which is a sex determining region, so it means that there is no anti-Mullerian hormone that is going to then be produced. There is no Mullerian regression factor, and there will not be any presence of the Leydig cells to then produce testosterone and dihydrotestosterone here. Then it means that the Mullerian duct here is not going to be inhibited to then proliferate. So this Wolffian duct, which leads into a male, then relies on the production of the testosterone here for it to be able to develop into a male. But because it does not have what should force it to then get into a male, it will then begin to degenerate. And that means that now the Mullerian, which is not being inhibited from flourishing to become a female, will have then the capacity to develop into what you are going to have as the fimbriae, the fallopian tubes, and then the ovaries, and then the uterus, and then you have a female now coming into play as your product there. So the sex determining region Y gene here on the Y chromosome is a very important element in the determination of the sex of that particular child. So the Mullerian is going to give you a female, and the Wolffian is going to give you a male. So basically that is what is happening in the determination of the sex of a child. So the male has the sole responsibility of then determining the sex of a child. Why? Because the male always have the X and the Y chromosome, and the sex determining region Y gene is found on the Y chromosome. The females will always have an X and X, and the male will always have have an X and a Y chromosome. In a normal sense, we're not talking about gene mutations here where you may find differences in what type of chromosomes they have. But in a normal sense, then the man plays key role in the determination of the sex, and it is an issue of chance where there's a 50-50% chance that the child may either be a female or may end up being a male. Now, if you found this particular video helpful in understanding who then determines the sex of the child, don't hesitate to like the video, share as much as possible, and also head on to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Hit on the notification button so you don't miss any of that amazing stuff. I have more and more and plenty of stuff coming. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.